On this week's NESN Patriots podcast, we'll discuss everything we learned at Super Bowl week. Plus, we've got an interview coming up with Elandon Roberts who describes what it's like to be in a captain's meeting with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Hello and welcome to this week's NESN Patriots podcast. I'm Doug Kai, joined as always by Zach Cox. We are not at Gillette Stadium. We are on Radio Row right now in Miami.
We are in the midst of Super Bowl craziness.
Yes.
Radio Row is always it's one of the more interesting scenes that you can come across as a sports writer, sports reporter, because basically everybody who's not actually playing in the Super Bowl wants to come hang out on Radio Row, whether they're promoting some product or they're just kind of here to come around and do some interviews and say hello. You see a lot of interesting people come through here. We saw Lil Nas X walking around with a black trench coat and a big cowboy hat earlier. Yep. We as you mentioned, we just had Elandon Roberts come through here, and it's been a lot of Patriots that have come through, Patriots and ex-Patriots. So it's been good to catch up with some of them, get some insight from them. But yeah, it's been an interesting week because obviously we both cover the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots are not here in Super Bowl 54, but that does not mean that there is no Patriots-related news and Patriots-related insight to glean from being here, and we've certainly been able to get a lot of that this week.
For sure, yeah. I mean, it sort of feels like the Patriots are in the Super Bowl, even though they're not. It is obviously the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers, but given all of the connections in this game, with the fact that the Patriots played the Chiefs so many times over the years, you've got Jimmy Garoppolo as the 49ers quarterback, you've got Wes Welker at the wide receivers coach, you have the Jimmy Garoppolo trade that involved Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. There's just a lot of connections here, and like you said, I mean, there's been a lot of Patriots players here on Radio Row. We've talked to the McCory twins, we've talked to Elandon Roberts, we've talked to guys like Marshall Newhouse and Eric Rowe and all of these either Patriots or former Patriots. So yeah, it's certainly been a busy week. What's the biggest thing that you've learned being down here at the Super Bowl, whether it's related to the Patriots or to the game that's coming up on Sunday?
That's the biggest thing that I've learned, is that nobody knows what Tom Brady is going to do this offseason, because we basically have asked everybody about Tom Brady's future, whether that be guys like Wes Welker and Jimmy Garoppolo who are actually preparing for this game, or guys like Willie McGinnis and Gronk who are here as analysts and media members now, or just the random players and celebrities that we've come across and talked to. Nobody really knows. Even guys that he's very close with, like McGinnis, like Gronk, they say that they don't have a good grasp on what he's going to do this offseason when assuming he does hit free agency. If the Patriots don't extend him before that, then Brady had to go out and drop that cryptic social media post last night, which caused a legitimate frenzy around here. This was pretty late in the day, so most of the radio stations and personnel had cleared out. But there was one still going on. It was a Fox radio station. We were sitting probably 150 feet away from there, and they were
football fields away,
legit screaming at each other about this Tom Brady post. Obviously, some of that's performative, but it just shows that the kind of frenzy that Tom Brady can whip up if he wants to, and I have to think that he did want to. He had to know that post was going to cause a stir among Patriots fans.
Right. I mean, Adam Schefter said after the tweet that it was unrelated to football. Not quite sure what it would have been related to then, because it was a picture of him either facing and walking towards the Gillette Stadium game field or walking away from the Gillette Stadium game field. It was sort of an optical illusion where you couldn't tell which way he was headed.
I had my face inches away from my computer trying to figure out which way he was facing, and I could not figure it out.
It was kind of like we were kind of loopy last night because we were still at Radio Row around 8 o'clock, and like every time that we'd think that we had stopped thinking about this picture of Tom Brady by the Gillette Stadium game field, we were then studying our laptops with our eyes peeled to it. But no, I still don't know which way it was. But I definitely think that was a bit of trolling on Tom Brady's part, because I mean, what had been going on all day yesterday. There was rumors that he had bought a house in Las Vegas. There was a rumor that his family was in Nashville touring a school with his son. There was a rumor that he had bought a house in Connecticut. So all of these rumors are swirling around. Half the discussion at the Super Bowl in general has been about Tom Brady, about where he's going to go, about his relationship with Jimmy Garoppolo, and then suddenly at 6:30 on Thursday night before the Super Bowl, he tweets out this picture, and it's supposedly unrelated to football. Well, it didn't appear to be some sort of like TB12 ad. Certainly didn't appear to be some sort of Under Armour ad. So unless he accidentally tweeted it from his phone, I'm not quite sure what it possibly could have been, other than trolling the fan base, trolling NFL media and fans in general about what he's going to be doing in it's now 47 days.
I think if I had to guess, it was probably a teaser of an ad that he's going to drop on Super Bowl day or something like that. But the fact that, to do that with no caption, with no anything, knowing how kind of on edge so many people are about this whole situation, it was definitely some calculated trolling there on Brady's part, I would say.
And speaking of Brady, I certainly didn't expect. So during Super Bowl week, the media from other stations speaks to the media. It's this weird snake eating its own tail situation. So we got Fox on Tuesday. So we talked to Rob Gronkowski and Troy Aikman, all sorts of guys, and then NFL Network did it on Thursday. So the big guys there would be Willie McGinnis, Kurt Warner, and I showed up a little bit late because I lost my laptop cord and bought the wrong one. Then I had to go back to the Apple store. It was a long story. But I got there a little bit late. You had handled Willie McGinnis already, so I didn't really want to retread that territory. But I talked to David Carr just because, okay, this is a quarterback. Maybe I'll ask him about Tom Brady. And I thought he made a really salient point about Brady, and that's that if he goes to a new team, then he's going to have to put in many hours doing one of two things, and that's either learning a new offense, one that he's never played in before. Say he goes to Oakland and has to suddenly play in a West Coast offense, which is, other players have described that as, learning French. And it's obviously easier for Tom Brady because it's Tom Brady, but still, it will take many hours to learn that offense. Or he's going to have to put in even more hours installing the Patriots system, the Erhardt-Perkins offense, into whatever team that he's going to. And David Carr didn't make this, but he made that point, but he didn't go this far. And Tom Brady's a guy who, in 2018 and 2019, wanted to spend so much time on his family, put so much of an emphasis on that he did not show up for voluntary workouts. He did not show up for OTAs. He showed up for 3 days of minicamp, and then he was there for training camp. So suddenly, we're supposed to think that Tom Brady is going to go from putting that much of an emphasis on his family to suddenly picking them up and moving them to a new city and then spending all day, every day at his new facility, either teaching an offense or learning an offense. There's just not a lot of sense in that. So that's why the Patriots are prohibitive favorites to re-sign Tom Brady, because it's quite simply the situation that makes the most sense for him.
Yeah, it really does make the most sense from Tom Brady's standpoint for him to stay in New England for all those reasons that you just mentioned, because it's going to be, I think that even if he does stay in New England, it would be in his best interest to actually go to OTAs this year.
Yes.
Because in 2018, you couldn't really knock him for it because they ended up winning the Super Bowl and the offense was fine for most of the season. But this past season, Patriots offense was a mess for long stretches, and he really had a very difficult time gelling with some of these rookie wide receivers that he would have been able to work with over the summer had he been there in OTAs. Imagine that with an entire offense. I think it's going to be hard enough regardless for him, even if he does go to a new place and then is there every day, deep into the night, putting in extra hours, being at every practice, working alongside his new receivers outside of the facility, all that stuff. It's going to be hard enough if he does all that. Yet the fact that, I don't know, it really does make the most sense for him to remain in New England. And we were talking about this the other day, or last night rather. One of the things that makes it so hard to predict is that nobody really knows what Tom Brady's priorities are going into free agency. Does he just want to get paid the most money? Does he want to go somewhere that he Does he just want to go somewhere that has the potential of winning a Super Bowl regardless of what kind of offensive system it has? Does he want to go somewhere where there is the offensive system that he's used to in place, but maybe not the supporting cast, or maybe not the dollar figure, or the term on your contract, or the market, or the franchise prestige, all that? Nobody really knows what his kind of list of priorities is, which is part of what makes it so difficult to predict which team he might be most likely to go to, especially because there's no team that checks all of those boxes.
No, and I mean, I think DraftKings is the one that has the odds on it right now. I think it's the Tennessee Titans and maybe the Las Vegas Raiders, I believe, have the best odds other than the Patriots. And one team that, just spitballing here completely, fits some of these, markers for Tom Brady. And I know it's not an obvious one because they got Daniel Jones at quarterback, just drafted him in the first round. But the New York Giants, I mean, if Brady and his family care about where they live, which you would assume that they do since they're selling their house in Brookline, since they supposedly want to move to New York, playing for one of the New York teams would make the most sense. Certainly don't think that the Jets are going to be a factor in this since they've got Sam Darnold. Now he's entering his third year. But Daniel Jones is entering the second year of his contract. And if the Giants sign Tom Brady for, say, 2 years, then at the end of that 2 years, you still have Daniel Jones on a rookie contract for 2 more years playing at an under-market deal. So why else do the Giants make sense other than the fact that they play in New York and they've got cap room? They could probably use a slight upgrade at quarterback over the next 2 years. They also actually have a lot of familiarity in their building with Tom Brady's system in quarterbacks coach Jerry Saplinski, who was with the Patriots from 2013 to 2018, or 2013 to 2017, very long time there. No, to 2018. I'm losing my mind. And then their head coach is Joe Judge. So that's 2 guys who know the Patriots offense and could at least help install what Tom Brady's looking to do with his new team. And that means that Tom Brady doesn't have to put in those 12-hour work days at the Giants facility, because Saplinski and Judge would be able to at least help with that. And one other factor in this that is sort of under the radar is that, yes, the Giants have said that they're sticking with Dave Gettleman, but what happens when Nick Caserio's contract runs out after the draft? What would you really pick between Dave Gettleman, who, for lack of a better term, or not to be rude, seems like he's kind of a buffoon with the New York Giants, or Nick Caserio, who's constantly been, the hottest GM candidate out there, has a connection with Joe Judge, has not only a Patriots connection, but also a John Carroll connection with Jerry Saplinski, and then if Tom Brady's coming in there as well, that's another guy who could help install that offense, because he probably knows the offense better than Joe Judge or Jerry Saplinski, and about as well as Tom Brady. So I don't know. It's just an under-the-radar team that I think that people are kind of discounting because Daniel Jones is there. But there's a lot of pieces there that sort of make sense for Tom Brady in order for him to not have to move his family in the interim just to move them back to New York. This would be a much more direct path for the Brady family just to go from New England to New York.
I really like this take. I had not considered this at all until we spoke about this yesterday, but I like this take a lot. I think it would be a smart move for Joe Judge, who is going from a position coach slash special teams coordinator to a head coach, to have a big commanding personality in there with Tom Brady. I have a feeling that Jason Garrett would be very much okay with basically turning Tom Brady into the offensive coordinator and saying, Tom, I'll do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like this take. Who knows, as you mentioned before, who knows how willing they would be to take their top draft pick last year and sit him down for an extra couple of years. Right. But, I mean, Daniel Jones wasn't so good this past year that he immediately kind of, he wasn't a Patrick Mahomes by any means in this.
And I mean, he didn't struggle. He wasn't a Josh Rosen by any means or anything. But I mean,
he was good.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers sat for a couple of years. Aaron Rodgers sat for a couple of years. It's not always a bad thing to have to sit for a couple of years, especially behind a guy like Tom Brady. And you're seeing Jimmy Garoppolo where he is right now after learning behind Tom Brady for a couple of years. And just one other factor in this, quite frankly, is that so the Giants have Dave Gettleman as their GM. They've got Joe Judge as their head coach. A signing that really came out of absolutely nowhere. Yeah. A guy that no one was expecting to get a head coaching job this early. So, I mean, I certainly hope for all of this success for Joe Judge. He's a good guy. But if Joe Judge and the Giants go 1-15 this year, is Joe Judge really still going to be their head coach in 2021? Or are they going to have to reset again? Because, I mean, they would sort of be a laughing stock if they take this guy that no one expected to become a head coach, and then it just goes terribly wrong.
Yeah.
And that could happen with Daniel Jones in there. There's much less of a chance that that happens if you got Tom Brady in there, and then you've also got the other power structure that I talked about with potentially Nick Caserio coming in. Then it's a package deal. It's not just this one guy that the Giants might have sort of made a mistake if it goes wrong by bringing in.
Again, I love this take. I'm a big fan of this take. I hope that this gets some more traction over the next couple weeks, because it's
going to be out, okay?
It's going to be a long 6 weeks, and I'm really not looking forward to it.
No.
I would very much like free agency to start, and then once we, or at least the legal tampering period to start.
March 16th.
Once
That's
we can
45 days away.
Once we can get some actual
Not
real
counting.
reporting that Tom Brady is meeting with any teams or anything like that. I'm already sick of the house rumors. I'm already sick of the Instagram posts, and it's just going to get worse over the next 6 weeks. So, but again, love the take.
One other thing that I did learn, and this isn't so much related to the Giants this week, though, is that Tom Brady certainly could be looking to bring Danny Amendola with him wherever he's going in free agency, whether that's back with the Patriots, and that would involve some mending of fences between Danny Amendola and Bill Belichick. But crazier things have happened with the Patriots. I don't think that Amendola's remarks were that serious when he left the Patriots. He basically just compared Bill Belichick to a school principal, which, I mean, wasn't the greatest thing to say going out, but it was also fairly mild. And at least as far as Patriots fans are concerned, there's not a lot of hard feelings towards Danny Amendola over those comments.
Patriots fans still very much love Danny Amendola.
Yes, and it would make actually even more sense for Tom, and if Tom Brady does re-sign with the Patriots, then it would certainly help to have another guy that he trusts in the offense. Patriots wide receivers kind of sputtered last year, so Amendola is never going to put up 1,000 yards, but if he can go in there and put up 400 or 500 yards, that would certainly be beneficial to the Patriots offense. But it would be even more beneficial to Tom Brady if he does go to some other team, and then suddenly he's got Danny Amendola as a trusted weapon who already knows the offense, that if everything else goes wrong on third down, you know where Danny Amendola is going to be. So, I mean, take the Giants, for example. Then you would have, Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate, and then Danny Amendola would be that slot receiver that Tom Brady really genuinely needs in his offense. So that was something that, a source with knowledge of the situation sort of told me this week, that those guys have stayed close, and that might be a situation where Tom Brady needs some assurances wherever he's signing. And who knows? I mean, that could be, hey, bring in Danny Amendola, or if it's with the Patriots, maybe that means, hey, how about we convince Rob Gronkowski to come out of retirement and maybe take it a little bit easy on him in OTAs and minicamp, reduce his workload a little bit in training camp just to have that big tight end back in the offense. Not saying that that's going to happen, but it wouldn't be surprising if Tom Brady did come with some demands with the Patriots if they are looking to re-sign him.
Absolutely. I cannot see the Patriots, I cannot see Tom Brady re-signing and then the Patriots entering this season without significant upgrades to their skill positions on offense, especially tight end, wide receiver, especially tight end. I mean, tight end is their absolute number one need going into this offseason. A lot of ways that they can go at that position, which we'll get into in much greater detail once free agency gets started. But yeah, Tom Brady, I totally agree with that he is going to come with some. He's not going to go in and say. Or he's going to go in and say, look, man, if I'm re-signing, we can't have a repeat of this last year. Because some of that was his own fault, but a lot of it was that just the weapons around him were not up to his usual standards. So that's definitely going to need some upgrades at several spots for this Patriots team.
We did talk to a Patriots free agent here on Radio Row. It was not Tom Brady, but let's check out our interview with Elandon Roberts, who had a lot of fun talking about becoming a team captain, running through Joe Thomas, and just sort of the free agency process in general for him. All right, now let's bring in Patriots linebacker and free agent Elandon Roberts. Elandon, how you doing?
All good, man.
And I want to repeat, that's Elandon Roberts. It's not Elandon Roberts, it's Elandon Roberts. And that's something to remember this offseason for anyone talking about Elandon Roberts. You're a free agent for the first time in your career right now. How are you looking forward to this process personally?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. You know, because this what you work for. You know, in the last 4 years, then put together a great resume and stuff like that. So I'm gonna just enjoy the process, you know, and that's it, man. And if the process puts me back at my starting spot, then that'll be great. But at the same time, if it put me somewhere else, that's the name of the business, and I'm gonna go there with the leadership, the mindset to do the best for whatever team needs me.
I know this is your first time going through this. Have you talked to any kind of veterans who have been through this whole process before, and just kind of get a sense of what to expect? 'Cause it's got to be a little bit strange. With previous off seasons, you go in knowing where you're going to be the next year, and it's got kind of uncertainty. Yeah,
I talked to a couple guys, you know, just to kind of ease my mind about it, because it's not like you stress on it or worry about this and that, but it's just like a mindset, man, like how is this? And then, you know, not being in the Super Bowl this year, you got a lot of time on your hands to kind of think. So it's like, man, you know, but Gossen gave me some great feedback and stuff like that, and, you know, eased my mind on the process. So now I'm just enjoying it, and yeah.
Here at Radio
spending time with family.
There's been a lot of Patriots players around here. I've seen the McCourty twins, Kyle Van Noy, all these guys, and a lot of you guys are free agents. So are you using this as kind of possibly a last chance to get to spend some time with those guys out here in Miami?
Oh, nah, I wouldn't say that. Like, we always spend time with each other and stuff like that, and have a great time with one another. So, you know, my last 4 years, it then went from teammates to family with them guys. So it's been great, and hopefully it continues to be great. But, you know, if not, we all know the name of the business. So we just have to do what we do. But I guarantee we keep in touch.
Absolutely. You also played some fullback this year, which was definitely a little bit new for you. What was that process like of actually having to learn an offense on top of everything that you were doing on defense and special teams?
You know, of course, you know, the main focus was defense. You know, it used to be kind of funny because the offensive coaches will come in the defensive meeting and try to, you know, get me out of the meeting and, like, getting that. And Bill would be right there. He kind of give him that little look, like, and he'll, you know, Bill with his looks, and he'll be like, go ahead, and I'll go and stuff like that. So, but, you know, everybody was on the, you know, same page, and, you know, I knew my first responsibility, you know, was defense and being a leader to that defense. But, you know, as a captain, too, is being a leader for the whole team. So, you know, sacrificing a little defense to go help the offense, you know, I just, you know, took it on and was able to, you know, help them, I guess, in a positive way. I just went out there and did the best I could.
Bill seemed to be pretty impressed with the way that you were able to pick up that new position. I remember watching one of those kind of weekly breakdown things that he does. It was after the Eagles game, and he singled out a block that you had. I think it was on Jenkins, and he said, this is probably the best block that anybody on this team has had all season. What kind of feedback did you get from Bill and from Josh and from the coaches about kind of that transition? It's got to be a little bit of a different experience.
They didn't really tell me too much about it. You know, we didn't really, you know, they just tell me good job, but that was about it, man. They knew what my main focus was, and, you know, that was at linebacker. Because, I mean, I feel like Bill and Josh, you know, at the same time, like, they was happy that I was helping the team out, but at the same time, they knew, like, you know, he's a proven linebacker in the NFL. Like, teams look at him as a linebacker, like he's a dominant inside linebacker. So we're not going to try to say too much about the offense, because I don't feel like they would have thought they was being disrespectful. They just know, like, look, man, this guy earned the reputation around the league as an inside dominant downhill linebacker. So, you know, we know that he's just helping us out on offense and stuff like that. But, you know, I feel like the praises they gave me are just praises saying we appreciate him sacrificing defensive reps to help the offense when they needed us.
Yeah. This year's Super Bowl, obviously the 49ers have been running the ball a ton. The Titans were running the ball a ton in the playoffs. Do you like that the game's shifting maybe a little bit more towards the run game here? Man,
if you really think about it, in these playoffs runs, when do you kind of see a team make the Super Bowl? See, a lot of people look at the season, they be like, man, they throw it like they do this, they do that. But if you can't establish that running game in the playoffs, man, you're not gonna get too far. You know, that playoff football is about establishing the run, being able to control, you know, the clock and stuff like that. You know, Kansas City is kind of a wild card with that, though, man. They just so explosive on offense and stuff like that. They're a little different, but at the same time, they even get to running the ball and doing this. You see Pat Mahomes, you know, scoring rushing touchdowns, you know, and stuff like that. So that part of the game, I feel like playoff ball is about, you know, playoff football is about, you know, running that ball, but still staying within your offense and defense.
Having played against that Kansas City offense 4 or 5 times over the last couple of years, what is the number one thing you need to focus on when playing a team like that? Because they do, as you mentioned, they have so many different weapons and so many different ways that they can beat you.
Man, stand within your game plan, you know, stand within your defense, and at the same time knowing if they make a big play, oh well, move on to the next, because if you get stuck on trying to fix that one play, then at a blink of an eye, they're going to score on you 2 more times, and then every time you look up, you're fixing a play. Like, no, if they make an explosive play, oh well, move on. What's the call? What's the next call? We'll fix that next week or something. We ain't, you know, just move on like that.
This year's Super Bowl a little bit. Obviously, you got to know Jimmy Garoppolo pretty well with the Patriots. What were just your memories of working with Jimmy there on the Patriots and having him in the locker room?
Man, Jimmy was a great guy to be around, you know, and going against him, you know, because, you know, he used to help the defense get prepared, you know, throwing the ball in practice. So man, he used to put that ball in spots. You'd be like, bro, is Tom in? You know, you'd be like, golly. You know, you'd think Tom just took a rep. Man, that guy's, man, I'm telling you, I see a lot around the league on people kind of sleep on Jimmy, but I don't know. You done seen it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you guys have
yeah.
been in practices, man, and seen it. So, man, I know, man, he's going to do, from a leadership standpoint, too, he's going to control what he can control, but at the same time, when it's time for Jimmy to make a play, like me, I stand up and watch it. I stand up in front of the TV because I know he fit to make it, man. I done seen it, man.
Are you cheering for Jimmy in the Super Bowl then?
Oh, yeah, man. To be honest, I'm not going for anyone.
Right.
You know, I just want to see a good game. Sure. But if Jimmy, you know, and his 49ers was able to pull it out, bro, I'll be so proud of him because, you know, Jimmy's a great guy, but at the same time, he's a great leader and he has great work ethic like that, man. So it's going to be fun.
I want to ask you about the quote, the run through a mother effer's face that you gave us that we all loved, we all appreciated. Yeah. Did you have that in the can where you're like, next time they ask me about fullback play, I'm just going to come out with this? Nah,
it kind of caught me off guard. I think because I don't know who's the media guy. He kind of asked me, he was like, do you think they know who Elandon Roberts is? And I was like, what? Like, what kind of question is that? And I was like, I felt like they've been on me, like, you guys know what I'm about. Like, if you in front of me, like, and I can't kind of finagle around you, I'm going to just run through you. So it is what it is, and you know, I'm not changing who I am or what I'm about. And you know, you know, especially this year, you know, helped out a little on offense. So hey, all 3 phases, you know, stuff like that. But that's definitely my mentality. You know, I think that's what people has around the league about me. Like, man, this guy will run through you, like, without a doubt, you know, and stuff like that. So that's just my defensive mindset and stuff like that. So
one of the first plays I remember watching you, or one of the first plays that you really stood out, was when you ran through Joe Thomas against the Browns. Do people still bring up that play to you? That was one of the most amazing run stuffing plays I've probably ever seen in my life. Yeah,
they bring it up all the time. It was kind of crazy, no lie, true story. So I was after the game, I called I want to say I called my dad. I called my, after the game, I called my dad. I was like, man, you seen, you know what I'm saying, who I ran through? And he was like, nah, I didn't see. So I was like, okay. And I was sitting, I was just chilling, and they was like, man, you ran through Joe Thomas. So I was like, nah, I don't think he was right there. And they was like, bro, that was Joe Thomas you did that to. So I was like, for real? I was like, okay. But in my head, I was like, I didn't really know who it was because I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
you just gotta run through his face.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't care who it is, you know, and stuff like that. So it was kind of after I knew who it was kind of like, oh, okay, like that's dope, you know. But it could have been anybody, and they was gonna, you know, I didn't say, oh, that's Joe Thomas, I gotta run through him, or I don't stutter my feet for anybody, like whoever it is, you know, you in the way, hey. Better have your pads under you.
Is that your favorite hit? What's your favorite hit from your NFL career?
Probably the one on Dalvin Cook. Even though he didn't, but it was like Dalvin Cook. Because I felt like that was at the time that it was like, you know, you do some things to get the Joe Thomas and all that. People be like, oh, you just caught him slipping or something like that or this and that. But I did it so many times versus guys. I didn't last year in the Super Bowl. It was who was that guard? He with Tennessee now. Stafford. So I did it against him. So it was like the Dalvin Cook one. It wasn't that it was a hit that was like, oh, that's Dalvin Cook. It was a hit that shows like we hit a play, and that's what I'm all about when it come down to defense, showing the team like, hey, put me on your back, and I'll show you how to start a game off. And I felt like that was the staple to me, showing like, man, this guy not just a great leader, he'll get his defense going on the first play of the game, come out and make an example. You know, so it really wasn't about who it was or what type of hit it was. It was showing like, hey, we hit a play today, so buckle your stuff up and let's go, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. So
you were a captain this year for the first time. What was it like just being in those captains meetings and taking on a bigger leadership role?
Man, it was straight, you know. Always been a leader, you know, outside the captain room, but being in there this year and stuff like that, and you seeing you sitting at that table and it's Tom Brady, Matthew Slater, Devin McCourty, Dante Hightower, you know, Bill sitting at the head of the table. And you going through everything and the team this and that other. Everything's about the team and, you know, thoughts and all this. And it's just like you take a whole nother appreciation for them guys because, and also James White, I didn't want to miss anyone, and James White. And you take a appreciation for them guys because first you wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, team meeting 8 to 8, and you discussing the team, the players, like in a role of like, you know, you for the players, you know, and stuff like that. And even Bill, like he takes a great deal into, you know, what the players want or what this and what that, like, and whatnot. So it was just on a whole nother level and stuff like that. And, you know, it showed to you, like, even when I wasn't a captain, you know, seeing what these guys that was leading our teams was talking about and seeing like the sacrifices even they was making and stuff like that, and you even appreciate it more.
Sure. What are you down here at the Super Bowl week to do? What's your plan down here this week?
Man, I had a lot of, you know, appearances set up, a lot of media, but at the same time just to relax. You know, my wife down here, you know, catch some suns, get out, see some scenery and stuff like that, and from that point, just chill. I'm gonna fly back Sunday. I'm gonna watch the game in Houston, though.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You got to see the new dark grind shirt.
Yeah,
you got
yeah.
Merch coming.
Man, I got some merch coming, man. After free agency, I got some merch coming, man. You know, y'all got to check the web. Y'all got to keep, you know, following me on Twitter.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna put it out there.
Hit that retweet button.
Yeah, hit that retweet
sure.
button when y'all see it and stuff like that. So. Yeah.
All right, man,
don't even ask me where you can order it because it's gonna be right there, so y'all can order it. Y'all send me pictures.
For sure.
You know, I need to see your kids in it too.
Right,
I'm gonna have kids sizes too, stuff like that.
As long as
so.
you get that 2T size.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a kid small.
Yeah,
you know,
we can do some onesies too. If you
cool
have newborns, you know, I got that newborn onesies and stuff. We gonna have it out there, man.
Now you're putting pressure on Zach. You know, with the newborn coming.
I'm
He's
saying.
getting married soon, so.
I'm saying, newborn, you know, like that. So hey.
All righty, Rob. It was great to have you
Oh,
here.
man,
It was
great
great
to see you
catching up with
guys.
you.
Yeah,
and I know that we're hoping you're back in the locker room next year, but good luck to whatever happens to you in free agency.
Most definitely.
So it was a fun talk with Elandon Roberts. We sort of missed that guy after the season ended abruptly, certainly as I said at the end, hoping that he comes back just to have another friendly face in the locker room. But, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens to a lot of the Patriots free agents this offseason. Not only Elandon Roberts, but Devin McCourty's a free agent, Kyle Van Noy's a free agent. The locker room could look pretty different next season.
Yeah, I mean, when Elandon came over before we put the mics on, he was commenting on the fact that this is the deepest Patriots free agent class that he's experienced since he's been here. He's like, man, like everybody, it's Tom, it's Devin, it's Kyle Van Noy, it's Matthew Slater, Joe Tooney. There are a total of 19 free agents. I've seen people say that there are 20. There are actually 19 because Justin Bethel is not a free agent, even though some sites list him as a free agent. But 19 Patriots free agents, including a lot of starters on all three sides of the ball, if you include special teams, and a very good chance that, well, it's a guarantee that all of them are not going to be back, and there's a very good chance that some big names like a Joe Tooney, like Kyle Van Noy, potentially Jamie Collins, maybe even somebody like Devin McCourty will sign elsewhere this offseason, which would really kind of reshape both the Patriots roster and their locker room, because a lot of these guys are proven established leaders and captains who have been in these high profile roles for several years now, and that's something that they're going to need to find a way to replace this offseason.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be, not only with Brady, but everything else, a fascinating offseason. That will do it for this week's NESN Patriots podcast. Keep it on NESN.com for all of your Patriots coverage and Super Bowl coverage. We will be attending the Super Bowl on Sunday. Follow Zach on Twitter at Zach Cox. Follow Zach Cox NESN, I should say. Follow me on Twitter at Doug Kide. And we'll probably be back with you soon this offseason. As soon as some crazy stuff starts coming down, we'll be back on the podcast front. But that will do it for this week's edition.